Welcome to the world of stand-up. I got to tell you got the coolest name of all time.
I stole it.
You stole it?
I stole it.
Okay, so what's the story?
Yeah. So when I when I met Quincy, so my wife wouldn't date me. Obviously,
Not surprised.
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
a pretty high value woman, so she has standards. I'm sure
she's way hotter than me.
Yeah.
So,
Well, for a woman, yeah, you're not a very attractive woman. Just to be clear.
well, that's fair too.
Yeah.
I'm trying, man. This whole movement, I don't know. We might get there.
Your wife's great.
No, dude. When I met Quincy, man, I was trying like hell to date her, and like I said, she was trying like hell not to. And right after she kind of opened the door a little bit and was like, "Fine, we can go on some dates or whatever." I don't remember where we were at, man. We were somewhere, and I had a couple drinks, so naturally I was putting on the moves, and
Shooting your shot.
And I was shooting my shot, and I said, when I marry you, I'm taking your last name. And she was like, dude, we're not even dating yet. Kind of let me have it for a second, which is funny because then when we got married, we were standing on the beach in Hawaii, and I said, yeah, you remember when I told you I was going to take your name? Handed her the marriage license. I was like, here
Legit.
you go.
So her maiden name is Beach, and so
Correct.
you're a beach now.
Yeah, so I'm a beach now. We're the beaches.
That's dope.
Bad beaches.
Dude, that's so progressive, bro.
Yeah, right? I know. I think that's off a movie somewhere.
Right.
No, dude, honestly, man, my whole life has been networking and marketing, right?
Sure.
Like everything I've done from, finance for years and everything else, and obviously the crypto stuff now. And Billy Beach has a ring, man. It's worked well for me. I'm not going to lie. So
that's a cool name.
Yeah.
So you don't have to tell me on camera what the other ones, but it's got to have been some like Polish name with a bunch of Z's and T's in it, right? Like that's what it was.
So my original my original real last name was Ferraro.
That's a cool name too,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah, my family came over from Italy, right?
Okay.
My great grandfather Sebastiano Ferraro, my grandfather was Raimondo Ferraro. They shortened it to Ray Ferro at New York when they when they came through or whatever. And my original last name would have been Ferro.
William Ferraro.
William Ferraro.
That's a dope ass name too, dude.
I know. It was. I'm not upset. I would have stuck with that one
my
too.
friend.
Hey.
Billy Ferraro. He fucks up with the West Side. You know what I mean?
I know. And here you drive the Ferrari, and I have a McLaren, right?
I
So I feel like I need to fix that. But and then when I was like 2.5, man, my mom got remarried, and he adopted me. And it's a German name, man. Had to go.
I get it, man.
Had to go. And I don't have a relationship with my parents anymore.
Okay.
So when I kind of took on her name, I took on a whole new family as well. So a whole new life, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are your parents still around, or are they just is a relationship that doesn't have?
It's just a relationship that doesn't happen. They're in Tennessee and back and forth in Florida and whatever, and just sometimes, man, you just got to spread your wings, and not everybody's going to believe in you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you bring up an interesting point. It's like where I've been seeing this more and more that it's always been a thing that family doesn't have to be blood.
Yeah.
But it's becoming more the case in that a lot more people are willing to do the work on themselves now. Like they're trying to figure out their demons. They're trying to like adopt better mindsets. They're trying to transform how they see themselves so they can truly be successful.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means family's got to go.
That's right, man.
And that's a harsh reality. But like if they're going to pull you down or like not believe or just be a barnacle on that boat that you're sailing, gotta go.
It was in the beginning. It was a handful of years in the process, right? I'd step away for a while and childishly block them, right? And then obviously something comes back around, and I don't know, we'd reconnect and reach out, and then it'd be kind of smooth sailing for a minute, then right back into a mess, man. And the last time was it was about this time last year. Really, it was right after the holidays, and called it quits, man. I'm done. I'm out. I'm doing my own thing.
Well, congratulations. That had to have been a very like heartfelt and challenging decision to make based off of just what it is. But good
coming from my childhood, man, it was always rough.
Yeah.
So making this decision, I just honestly, man, I set down that bag of bricks and I walked away. Right, it's the best thing I could have ever done.
Okay, so if you'll indulge me for a second,
sure.
How did you do that? I've heard that a lot from people that like they just were able just to put it down. And from a personal standpoint, there's been things in my life where I'm like, I want to. Mm-hmm. It's just fucking hard, man. Like to really just like legitimately put it down. Do you have any advice or tips on how to do that?
Man, like I said, it was a culmination of a lot of things, right? It wasn't one event where it was like, oh, I got in an argument with my parents and I told them to kick rocks, right? Like, you know, it was everything stemming from when I was a kid, man. You know, I mean, I would ask for help or ask to do something, and they just weren't there. You know, they were like, just go. And I was the only child, okay, so it wasn't like just go play. It meant like, all right, cool, man, I'll go grab my brother, my sister, and we'll go do shit. It was all right. I'll go sit in my room by myself. You know what I mean? For a lot of a lot of my younger years, and you know, they didn't really let me get into sports. Fair enough. I was a little dude. You know, I mean, I graduated.
Some of the best running backs are little dudes.
Hey, man, I might have missed that mark too. You know, I was 4'9" and 95 pounds as a freshman. I was definitely nobody's running back.
Okay,
I was the football. You know, just, you know, it was really just everything growing up, man. Just kind of added a lot to it. And to be completely honest, I am not a fan of guilt, man. I make a decision, and I don't know if that's the 10 years in military where I make a decision, I stand by my decision, and I don't look back, you know? I make a well-informed decision, right? I don't shoot from the hip ever. I feel like I'm a very calculated person. I calculate risk. I calculate decisions in my life very well in the same way. But I think that was pretty much it, man, is I'm just not a man of guilt, man. I do what I think's best, and, you know, I kind of move forward, and I like to be the lion in my world.
I love that, man. That makes me... It reminds me of, in order to not be into guilt and experience guilt, it requires you to tell the truth. Yeah. To yourself, about others, about the whole thing. Like, you got to be really kind of brutally honest with yourself. And that, I think, is where people have the most difficulty. They like to live in their delusion. I know I do. Sometimes, like, I'll find myself, like,
sometimes it's easier there
in the fog, and like shit'll be weird and it'll be difficult, and then I'll step out of that fog first. I'm like, oh yeah, you've been lying to yourself, bro. How about you stop that part, and then
self-realization helps, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
No, I've always just attacked things that way. I've always been, you know, take me at face value, right? I mean, I'm a very genuine person. You know, a perfect example was, I mean, I lost a ton of business at the time. You know what I mean? I don't do that stuff now, but I lost a ton of business at the time during COVID. You know, because I did. If I didn't believe in something, I'm not going to play the game, and I honestly I don't give a shit what you celebrities think. You know, you know, I didn't stay quiet, right? I mean, I'm a man of liberty. I'm a man of freedom. I'm a man of our Constitution, right? And what all that stands for. And yeah, I'm not going to play anyone else's game to get ahead, man. I'm going to do what I think's right, whether you like it or not. And, you know, we can be friends afterwards, or we cannot.
Wasn't that an interesting time, man? So much was exposed during those years, months and years during COVID. I remember the same thing. It's like I didn't even really start speaking out. There was this experience that I had that was kind of it was transformational for me, where I was supposed to headline as a comedian at the end of March of 2020. We had a date on the calendar, everything. And if you recall, March 20th is basically when everything shut down.
Yeah,
like, especially here in Utah. And, you know, they had all these laws from the city and the state, or not laws, but
mandates,
directives or mandates. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were really slick on how they use those words, right?
Yeah, right.
Think, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was bummed that my headlining gig got canceled. And the entire time I was sitting there going, this just doesn't pass the sniff test, man. Like, you don't have to sell a pandemic. Like, you either got one or you don't, you know?
Right.
And watching just the fear tactics from the media and everything. And I just was like, let's sit back and wait. And I was kind of vocal that way. I'm like, this doesn't smell right.
Yeah.
Well, when my show got canceled, I had a few drinks, and I made this sort of emotional video that I put on Facebook about how bummed I was and how I was going to use the time to be a better comedian and to write more jokes, and that video got shared into this group on Facebook where there was like 500 comics, and I just got filleted.
Oh yeah, I was
as the fucking biggest asshole ever. How dare you? You're not even a good comic. You should stop acting like you're a headliner. Be an open micer like you really are. People are dying because of this, and you're worried about your stupid show. I mean, we're talking like hundreds of comments going down this.
Funny how everybody became the authority of morality,
for sure.
Right?
Everybody always will don the hat of authority for morality when it's the bad thing.
Yeah.
When you're pointing out corruption or saying like this is BS, like nobody wants to don that up.
Nope.
It takes a special type of person to be able to be like, yo, I'm not vibing with this, which that kind of pushed me into that realm. I'm like, yeah, I don't believe this at all.
Yeah.
And I kept quiet about it. And then as things happened and the vaccine became available and everything, and it's like everything is showing its cards. It's showing what it is. Did you know, actually, I saw this morning, man. China is still doing all that stuff. Like
Dude, they're crazy over there right now, man.
Even to the point that I read this article where they are censoring certain footage from the World Cup because it shows maskless crowds.
That's insane.
The Chinese people are like, oh, we can't have the Chinese people thinking that this isn't real.
Let's keep voting for communism and socialism.
Well, I don't know if they have a choice
over
anymore
here.
Over there. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's
here,
what I'm
though.
saying. Yeah, here. Let's keep doing that. Let's keep doing more of that shit here.
But I guess the blessing of all that is it really it thinned the herd and separated the herd in a way that I'm actually grateful for now, because now I know who the idiots are.
Yep, 100%.
I'm like, oh, thanks, you just showed me.
Yeah, yeah.
Bye.
It's nice when they just light up.
Yeah,
Be like, yep, you. Don't have anything to do with you anymore.
it has been it's reminded me every time I have like a sales call with a client for one of my podcasts that I help start. I have this conversation where I talk about, like, we got to go really, really narrow and deep to find out who your ideal listener is, because once we know who that is, we can build the whole thing around it.
Right.
And sometimes the clients will get spooked, like, I don't know if there's enough people if we go super narrow to try to, like, make this be something viable for my business. And I spit some math facts at them. I'm like, okay, we live in a country of 330 million people. 1% of that is 33 million. 1% of that is 33,000. 1% of that is fucking 330. If you were to have 330 full paying clients as a result of your podcast, you think that'd be enough?
It's worth it.
You're like, oh, I guess so.
Yeah.
It's like just a
speck
on the wall.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
and they say shit like right now, anything you can think of somewhere in the world, somebody's doing it.
Right.
Some if you need dirty motherfuckers.
Yeah, if you need proof of that, just go to Pornhub and search. Do the freaking roulette. Like, what are we going to see here? Lizards.
I'm going to prove this theory right now. Let's get your iPad out.
I don't want to get screwed up on the Wi-Fi of the building. You're like, what the fuck is this guy watching? Oh man. Well, dude. So I'm thankful for you coming on the show. I've wanted to kind of learn more about your your military background and stuff there, and of course. I got involved with a company that you're heavily involved with called D.E.B.T.
Yep.
And then you've started, I'd like to understand the relationship that you have as far as Core One Crypto, the company that you started there, and what that does and how it plays in with D.E.B.T and the whole thing that you're doing there, because it's been kind of crazy. I invested a little bit of money, and that ticker goes up every day. I've been making some, and I made my first purchase out of it 2 days ago. It's
pretty wild.
With the gains. And I haven't even really been playing at it in a big way. I've just been kind of like on the sideline going, go, dudes.
Yeah, right. Hey. No, it's been unreal, man. We were first handful in. Yeah. I met Jason and Jake, those guys, a couple months before they launched the project. They reached out to me. Well, actually, I heard through someone else, and I called them, and I was like, hey, what are you guys doing? And they were like, we'll stop by your office.
Did you know them before?
Just a little bit for a couple of months before they launched it off, and now I called him. I was like, "What are you guys doing, man? I just heard from so and so that you guys got some kind of project." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll stop by your office. We can talk about it." I was like, "Cool." Came by, opened their laptop. I had three of my guys with me, and they were like, "All right, we're doing this, and we're doing this, and this," and I was like, "That's awesome." No clue, right? Yeah. All I knew was that a crypto project that was backed by.
They're saying all the Greek words. You're like, blockchain and Omni protocol and everything. Like,
and I'm over there Googling like blockchain. Dude. That's a crypto word. All right, cool. This is legit. So so it's funny. So literally before he gets up and leaves, I was like, so like, what do you I don't know, what do I give you $500 or? Yeah. And he's like, dude, wire me what you're comfortable with in our friendship, right? And I was like, pretty cool, dude. You thought it was hilarious as shit when I jumped in the pool with my McLaren key. Yeah. That was great, right? We've had some laughs. I'll send you $10,000. Okay, so I sent him over $10,000. Called Ben right afterwards. Ben's my best friend, Ben Daniels. You guys probably know him. But
he's a partner in your company.
Yeah, and my partner in Core One Crypto.
Yeah.
So called Ben. I said, dude, I don't know what I just invested in, man. It's crypto and oil and gas and something. Anyway, I sent Jason over to your office. So Ben basically did the same thing. So for about the first 3 months, I mean, it was like a website, and it had this little ticker number, right? It was just going bigger and bigger and bigger, like McDonald's cheeseburgers, It was monopoly money. No one really knew still what was going on. Fast forward, 8-9 months later. I'm a firm believer if you can't talk about money with your friends, you need new friends, right? So I invested $10,000 and turned it around to about $1 million, which was insane. Fair enough.
So awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Right place, right time. Obviously we were, super small amount of people, so the rewards we were getting were insane. You know, I mean, there were days I was making. I think the biggest single day was like 38 grand in one day.
Wow.
You know, it was nuts. So
what a trip, dude.
what a trip, man. So, you know, this thing just built. And I kind of had made a decision after this, you know, 6 or 7 month mark and went to Quincy and I was like, you know, I can't do this shit anymore. I hated what I was doing. You know, I was good at it and I'd done it a long time.
You were in the mortgage business,
lender.
right?
Yeah. And I just, you know, it just burned me out, man. At 22 years in, I really wasn't. I mean, I was already a branch manager and I had been a sales manager. I kind of did it all, you know, and I was like, where do I go from here, right? I can go up to regional manager and those things, but my heart wasn't anymore, you know? So I was like, look, we have this opportunity. Super stressful business, yeah. I mean, you know, stressful business. But my heart wasn't anymore, you know? So I started looking at this crypto thing and we were doing so well. And I was like, okay, if I can keep building this to replace my income, right? Then I get to go be what I really want to be, a true entrepreneur, right? So we made a decision and we kept taking, instead of pulling profits out, we kept taking and rolling it like you are. You know, you came back in and bought more and kept compounding and buying more licenses and more licenses and more licenses. I mean, if I had, you know, if they were $1,000 at the time, the second I had $1,000, man, I was logging in and buying another one, right? Now I'm up over 200 something licenses, you know, make just off that project, you know, $60,000 to $100,000 a month, depending upon where the coins go. And it really gave me that opportunity to, number one, the first thing I did, honestly, is I said, fuck it. I don't think I changed my pajamas for a solid 6 weeks, man. I didn't really leave my house. Like, I just kind of enjoyed not having to do anything, you know? And Quincy always tells this joke. I was sitting in my chair, my favorite chair in my living room, just like this. And she came in the garage and she's like, you turned around after like 6 weeks and gave me this look like you were just like, had never seen a person before and just had to get the hell out of the house or you were going to turn into that chair, you know? So she was like, look, why don't you, you know, now you've had some time to rest, you know, you've had a little bit to relax. She's like, what's next? What are you going to do? So I ended up meeting a couple other guys, Justin Mancuso, who, you know, Adam Mancuso and Arjen Jerome, right? And in spending time with these guys, Arjen is a brilliant trader, knows everything about crypto, and Justin's a blockchain expert. So we all kind of started getting together and just really saw a need to launch, I guess what you would call, you know, the most basic of basic crypto training platform, right? Like you have licenses, you know what I mean? But if I were to tell you like, hey, get on Dex Screener, you know what I mean? Chart for a couple days, watch the high point, cash out, swap to Tether, move it over to your MetaMask and send it to your checking account. I have no idea what you mean. Yeah, you're right. You go like, you know, so, but that's all and as crazy as that sounds, guys, that's the basic stuff, right? I mean, that's every day in crypto, right? Is moving wallets over and transferring and whatever, right? So just through kind of a wild chain of events, you know, we grew this company. And basically what we were finding out is now that we sell the licenses also through the DeBox platform and helping other people get them over the last couple, you know, over the year or whatever, is a lot of people don't know anything. And it was a real struggle just for people to simply get money into their account, turn it into crypto to invest into this software, right? These software licenses. So we all kind of came together and said, well, let's build a platform, right? And that is what Core One Crypto is. It's everything from day one, like literally what is blockchain, what is Bitcoin, why is Bitcoin different than Ethereum, all the way up to, you know, advanced trading down the road if you want to turn yourself into a day trader and leave your job, right? Like we do it all and it's baby steps all the way there, but it's been amazing so far, man. I mean, we just last week we recovered over $60,000 in cryptos that other clients had sent to wrong addresses or under the wrong blockchain or whatever, and we were able to help find all that. And I'm telling you, man, when someone comes in your office and they're like, I sent 30 grand to the wrong place, and you can work that out and you can find that money for them, it was pretty amazing, man.
Big deal.
It was a big deal.
What's the business model of Core One Crypto? Is it an education company?
100% training, that's it.
Okay.
Yep. So it's $100 a month. You get a live Zoom once a week, right? And it's all different topics, right? We kind of evolve it from there. We do a full market overlook, large Zoom once a month with Arjen as well. Explains everything in the market. You know where crypto's going. We have Donnie Ozine as our other partner. He's been in crypto forever. Dude's worth a substantial amount of crypto. He does kind of new product development, right? So like, hey, I researched this coin. It's got this liquidity, right? This is the market cap. this is where it's going. I've watched it this time. It's probably good to invest in. So we all have our own niche, you know, and yeah, man, it's just been, we actually had a really awesome event last night at Sunday's Best. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Appreciate you guys. But it was awesome, man. We had, 10, 12 people there and gave out a ton of information, and they were super stoked when they left, and it was beneficial for them. It was awesome for us. And yeah, I just want to continue the path of doing good, and helping people, and something that's coming in the future, not something that is an industry that's probably on its way out the door.
Yeah, there's a lot of opinions about crypto and its longevity and what it's going to do and how it's going to, carve its place out. But I find it ironic that most of those opinions really don't have any crypto investments themselves.
Yeah, a lot of the most of the naysayers don't hold any, and they don't really understand it, right? They're just like, oh, it's your digital dollar monopoly money, and they don't understand true blockchain technology and what blockchain really is and how valuable it can be, right? Mm-hmm. And that's our goal too, right? Is to sit people down and say, look, I get it. Right, your buddy lost money in crypto, because that's everybody's story. Well, I have a buddy that lost. Yeah. It's like, I understand your buddy lost money in crypto. That's unfortunate, right? But that doesn't mean crypto's bad. That means your buddy's trading principles were sorry, or he didn't do enough research, or whatever the case is, right? So, but yeah, it's been one of those things. We've actually got probably more people into crypto for the first time this year through this project than anybody would have gone out and sought out for their own. And they're all doing well. I mean, you're in and you're seeing the returns, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, I love the idea of Core One being an education platform, because that makes it so. This stuff isn't difficult to understand. You just have to look at it differently,
right? Yep.
And especially on some of the new stuff. Like, I know you and I joked, I got in way later just because I was kind of put off by the clunkiness of the interfaces and stuff, because I wanted it to be all shiny and smooth to make me feel better about what I was getting my money out of. But I missed out on some massive gains by being that way and having that mindset. So it's been an interesting thing to look at that differently.
Hey, the very first Tesla cars were kind of ugly too, but I think Elon's onto something.
I think he's doing okay. I mean, he's gotten a little bit more haters lately, but he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
If he cuts back, he might be able to live on what he has.
Maybe he might be able to go grocery shopping later.
That's been an interesting thing to watch too, because this is going to sound so silly, but that's why I bought my first Dogecoin, is because of Elon Musk.
Yeah, and a lot of people did, and that's one of the things that you quickly learn in crypto is once the news is out, it's too late. You missed the boat. You know, so. Yeah,
I ended up losing. I had it wasn't very much. I only had about $2,000 in Doge, and it got up to like 6, and I was like, oh, to the moon, because that was the whole thing with Dogecoin, to the moon.
Yep.
And then it didn't go to the moon and went to the ground, and so I sold out at like $800. The irony is, though, is now that he bought Twitter, Dogecoin's had another run again, and I'm like, oh man. Like,
all he's got to do is get on his a couple of 100 million people platform and go, hey, this is cool, and people are like, oh, here we go again,
Well, dude, I was watching this documentary about the whole like GameStop deal.
Yeah, on Reddit.
Yeah, the whole Reddit thing with, what was it called? The name of that Reddit thread.
I can't remember the name of it either, but they did the same thing with AMC as well.
Wall Street Bets. And so they would like crowdsource all this stuff, and it's like, it's funny to watch like Wall Street scramble now to try to protect against that. And the irony is that like that's the exact same thing actually that happens in crypto. One of the things that I was appealed with when it came to like the D.E.B.T platform that I was introduced to through you is that it's not whimsically connected to market shifts like that. It's a project-based tokenomics.
Yeah, a lot of people, kind of the step that I've taken lately, right, to explain it when people ask is they're like, well, it's a crypto project. I'm like, no, it's not a crypto project. These are large, massive commodity hedge fund projects that have been in operation for 12 to 15 years, development, et cetera. They just chose all of a sudden to attach blockchain and a crypto project to it, right, to honestly maximize their potential, right? And like you said, it's a way of crowdsource funding their projects, right? Yeah. Which has been amazing. I mean, we've seen them go from one oil well to almost 20 something this year.
That's legit.
I like hearing that.
Yeah. You brought up something as you were sharing your story that I found to be interesting, and I want to talk about it. You talked about how there was a point where, like, for 6 weeks, you just were like, fuck it, and didn't leave your pajamas and stuff. I've always wondered that moment for entrepreneurs because, before finding something like this or exiting your company for a large amount or, you're in the middle of the grind, you're doing what you do. We all long for that moment where it's just like, I just don't want to have to do anything for a bit. And I've always been curious, but I haven't had that moment myself. Like, it's been like, I feel guilty taking a Saturday off. You know, it's like the way that everything works. It's like, I mean, I don't work, 12-hour days, but like every single day is involved in my business in some way, you know? And so what's your plan for the future? Because there's going to come a point where Core One's smooth and sailing, your stuff's happening, you're all good, you got more money than you could ever dream of needing. You got all the toys you want. The list of shit's going to be filled out. Then what? You ever thought about that?
Yeah.
So what is that going to be like for you?
So my ultimate goal, and if my wife were to be here and you were to ask her at the same time, is my ultimate goal, my long-term plan, right, is to run a veteran wellness center.
Really?
So, yeah. So essentially, what I would love to do, right, like, let's say I could sell Core One crypto for $500 million today, right, and take $100 million, and the plan is to build a dormitory building, right? Like a work-live loft now, right? These aren't going to be 3-bedroom,
right?
Spacious things. Each room about the size of your office here, but the necessities that you need, right? A microwave, a stove, bathroom, shower, and a bed, right? And the idea is to take veterans that have got out, because let's be honest, guys, running through the desert in a gun doesn't translate very well, right? To civilian world, And the real problem, here's the real issue I could tell you, okay, is you're in the desert with a gun, right? And that's all you know, okay? Shoot at the dude shooting at you, or just stand here until we tell you to, okay? And you're making, right now, probably $4,500 a month, $4,000 to $5,000 a month, okay? So you could be someone's roommate, right? You can afford at least a truck, a car, your medical insurance is paid for, so you don't have those kind of costs and coverages, right? Your life insurance is handled, all these other things you don't really understand, okay? Then you get out and you start applying for jobs, right? And you find yourself at In-N-Out Burger, Home Depot, whatever, right? Making $12 an hour.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, it was obviously substantially worse than that. It was $8, $9 an hour, right? And you're making $2,500 a month. Now you can no longer afford the vehicle that you had, because you could, you got out with it. Now you have the payment, you can't afford it, So, it's not a good path to civilian life, right? So my dream is to open a veteran wellness center, work, live type lofts, but the first floor will have a gym. The first thing to do is get your ass up in the morning and stay in shape, keep your mind sharp, keep your body sharp, right? The second thing is we'll have multiple offices to contract out with large government type employees, right? Boeing, Northrop, and I don't mean aerospace stuff, but welding. Right?
Yeah.
Welding is a trade that can be taught over a handful of weeks, right? And you could make really good money doing that, Basically just bringing in companies that are interested in bringing in veterans. They put in some time to help train them, and then they've got a great employee, you know what I mean, that they've trained the way they want to train their employees, and then the veteran now has opportunity. They can live in the dorm up until the point to where they've secured a decent contract for employment and can live on their own, and then we move them out of the dorm and off they go. We want to have in-house counselors, right? In-house therapy, hopefully a psychiatrist for, some of the mental things and those things. Some people just needs Xanax, man. So, it's a fact, right? Have someone that can prescribe, that we can hire, that we can trust, right? That isn't just going to sit down and tell them what they want to hear, give them a pill and send them out the door, right? So you ask my goal, that is my goal.
I love that. I need to...
That's my mission.
I need to introduce you to the guy that was my last guest on this podcast, Brian Buckley. Mm-hmm. If you haven't listened to that episode, I would recommend it. He's a ridiculously cool human being. So he was in Afghanistan. He was in the Helmand Valley, and had all sorts of stuff happen. A bunch of his close friends passed through combat. He comes back to the States, and the short version is that he tried cannabis for the first time, and it actually let him get a night's rest.
Yeah.
And so he started up the Helmand Valley Growers Company, which is a California-based cannabis company. And he's been working with Congress people, and he started the Battle Brothers Foundation, which 100% of the proceeds that the Battle Brothers Foundation raises goes towards medical cannabis research. He's already spoken with Congress people about what it would take to have the VA exclusively prescribe cannabis from his company.
Which would be brilliant.
So he's in that fight. He's like, dude, vets, he's like, it might not work for every vet, but vets need this.
Hey,
like,
if it works for a few.
Opiates, all that, what are we doing? Like, there's so much better things that we can do, and cannabis is his deal. We had a really great conversation about that, and he's a man that's heavily invested into bringing that value.
That's awesome.
And so the idea of what you're doing there, who knows where that could go together, but
yeah, for sure.
He's a really, really great guy. I'll gladly introduce you to him.
Yeah, it'd be great, man. I mean, that's that's my ultimate long-term goal, and that's the legacy that I'd like to leave.
Yeah. So you said you were in the service for 10 years?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
It was weapon systems. So basically anything that went on planes that killed the bad guys, we maintained it, inspected it, transported it out, loaded on the plane, all that stuff.
Okay. Yeah. For which division?
The Air Force.
Air Force.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chair Force.
Chair Force?
Chair Force. Yeah, we didn't really do a lot. You didn't really fight, man. You just kind of sit in a chair a lot. In the Chair Force.
See, that sounds like something like one of the other
no offense,
branches
guys,
would say, like, if Chair Force over there.
That's where it comes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Army calls us Army Marines calls us the Chair Force.
Okay. My dad was in the Navy. He was an air traffic controller. It's crazy. Like, all the little, my brother-in-law is currently, I think he's in South Dakota or some shithole, but he's a dogs guy. Like, he handles all the canines.
Oh, yeah.
Training him. It's amazing. Another one, Raul Martinez. If you saw any of the stuff that I talked about where with Sean Whalen, we were doing that combat training that was over the thing.
Yeah.
Raul had a really cool perspective about that because he started that company, Rogue Methods, and it's all about what is it called? CQ, close quarter, I don't know, the close quarter combat training where you're de-escalating, removing guns, like the whole thing. And he was like, the military, the U.S. taxpayer invested a ton of money in my brain. Yeah. He's like, I got to give back. So that was awesome. The way that he justified in a good way, like what he got out of the military and then how to put those amazing principles into use for civilians.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, dude, it was dope.
Yeah, I saw a lot of the footage on Whalen's thing when you guys were doing that for the handful of days or whatever the case was.
Dude, it was gnarly. Have you ever done anything like that?
No.
Dude,
looks awesome though.
It kicks the hell out of you.
I actually reached out to him. I was like, dude, I would love to do this with you guys the next time. And then it was like a couple weeks later or whatever, I saw him out shooting and I was like, I'm in, man. Civil War, I'm ready. Let's go. Let me know when you want me to come out. I'll train with you guys.
Dude, it was I got to tell this story because it was hilarious. Like, it was a 2-day thing. And I had the privilege of being invited. And so the second day, Amy my wife was like, what's this whole thing about? What are you doing? Because I came home and I was bruised, like my wrists were screwed up, like I'd been wrestling.
They're like, I'm wrestling dudes, babe. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm like, it's totally not gay, I promise. Like,
we have our clothes on. There's no Vaseline.
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, you can wrestle with Vaseline naked with other dudes. It's fine.
It's whatever. It wasn't my thing that time. But she's like, that's cool. And she's like, do you think I could come and observe tomorrow? I'm like, probably. So I get there in the morning on Sunday, and I'm like, yo, do you guys mind if Amy comes down? And they're like, yeah, bring her on down. Now, so Saxony, Sean's wife, is there, and this chick's a boss, dude. Like, she's fully all in and like doing the whole thing. And Amy shows up right at the time that we're getting ready to do this like combat thing with each other. And Sean's like, Amy, get in. Like, Sax, you too. And so Amy's like, what? And Amy wasn't feeling good. She was having some issues with heartburn, but she jumped in and she was punching and stuff with Saxony. And then she was like pissed at me. She's like, I wasn't ready for that. Dude.
Yeah, you're like, why you bring me here to get in a fight?
I didn't know. Like, I thought. And then, Sean and Sax were sweet about it. They were like, dude, we didn't realize that. But the good part is, like, we ended up going to the Lions Not Sheep Halloween party. And, Amy went up to Sax and she was like, oh, I'm ready next time, dude.
Awesome.
No, like, I'm not bitching out like I did. Like, no, it's different. And so, like, it was cool because Sax felt super bad because Amy, she wasn't feeling good. She bolted. She, like, kind of hung out for another 20 minutes after that, and then she just left without saying goodbye to anybody. So I'm like,
suck.
Is what it is, dude. But yeah, that was something that was really interesting that I'd never really been a part of before, and it's really kind of scratched an itch now to get good at that. I've noticed that, one of the things that Raul said is the phrase, you are your own first responder. Like,
yeah.
And there's a comedian named Pete Holmes that has a great bit about guns where he's like, you're just waiting for a different gun. Like, if you don't like guns or don't have guns at your house, when you call the cop, you're just waiting for that gun to show up. So, might as well learn, and he's not even pro-gun. He's really kind of a lefty, but I was thinking about that. It's like, because we didn't have a lot of the stuff that I needed to really be prepared or to handle any of that, and it was an eye-opening thing. I've noticed
you don't realize how bad situation can get escalated, until you're in one and you're not prepared.
Oh, dude, it was nuts. So the first day the Lion's Nut Sheep warehouse is in Draper, and it's about a quarter block off of 123rd South. Mm-hmm. And so there's a big field out in front of it, which was where we were doing all this hand-to-hand stuff, and it's cold and rainy, and we're out there, and all of a sudden we hear this like screeching brakes and then a really loud pop, like an accident happened. So Sean's the first one. He starts walking over the thing, and we follow him, and I'm right there with him, and this woman who had a baby had rear-ended this Tesla that was there, and she's got blood on her thing. She's out walking in traffic, everything. Like, he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, he's like slowing cars down because this chick was clearly in shock, didn't know what was happening.
I feel bad for her, but I feel like the Tesla deserved it.
Well, the old family, it was an older couple in one of those, the bubble-looking Tesla, the X-Wing thing.
The persons we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but like Sean was like, it actually was a really good kind of teaching moment because this chick was out of her mind. Like, he went in and was like checking to make sure things were all good because a lot of the stuff that we were learning from Raul was this type of stuff. Like, you have no idea. Like, that chick in shock could have wandered out into traffic and be, smacked because it was right there. People were so annoyed that there's an accident. They're going around.
They're ripping around.
Like flipping her off and everything. And we go there and like, so Sean walks her to the side of the street. I'm standing with this girl while he's doing the interface. He checks on the Tesla people and everything. And like, this chick's like wandering around. I'm like, can I just hold your child? Because like the kid was like really kind of, so I was just sitting there holding her baby. It was like an 18-month-old, 2-year-old baby. And the tenseness of the situation was real. I'm like, oh, right. People don't deal with this.
Yeah.
They're not ready for the reality of what this type of thing could be. Now, not that you're going out to create that or the whole, sort of like, well, whatever you think about, you bring about type thing. None of that. It's like if you can be ready for that type of stuff and you just kind of put it in this little compartment in your brain and you continually like update that and train all the time, it becomes something it's helpful. It's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one. I mean, self-aid buddy care is one of the things that we have to do every couple months in the military for that reason.
Yeah.
Be able to take care of yourself, be able to take care of someone else and remain calm in that kind of stressful situation.
Yeah.
It's a good skill.
So now that you've been building out this crypto business and you just got back from Africa, how was that, man?
Africa was amazing, man. It was super hot, really humid. Right about the time we got accustomed to being 8 hours ahead. 8 hours ahead. Yeah, it was like 8 hours ahead. Man, we had to come home, and it took 2 weeks to get back. But the coolest thing
took 2 weeks to get back.
To get back on my schedule.
Oh, gotcha.
After getting home,
jet lagged like a mother, right?
I was waking up, going to bed at 3 in the afternoon and waking up 2 in the morning and just sitting on the, Quincy's like, dude, if you don't get this together, I'm literally going to kill you, So that was rough. But no, Africa was amazing, man. I was really, really fortunate. And this sounds like one of those things. It was like, yeah, say that shit, But I was really, really fortunate to be taken in. So we were in one of the villages, and the chiefs are called nanas out there, okay? And the one chief that owns the 100,000 whatever acres of land out there where our grow agriculture project is for Deadbox, we actually got to go into his home, his hut, his home, right? And it was cool. It was a really touching moment, man, because we couldn't understand him, he couldn't understand us, and you can't talk to the nana. The nana has a helper, and then it has like the translator guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like playing microphone, and then or telegraph or whatever all the way back, right? But basically, the bottom line is he was like, we're so thankful for you guys coming here, and now that I see new faces, that tells me that there's more progress, right? Which is great for my people. So as I was sitting in there, he granted us another 10,000 acres. For us to help build, and just so we're clear, what we've been doing over there is basically building aquifers, and infrastructure for them to be able to harvest more. Okay, so there's a rainy season. It's a month with M. Might be March, might be May. Okay, so before we got there, they were only able to harvest one time after the rainy season. That's it. Okay, and this is a chief component. Shea butter, 90% of shea butter comes from Ghana, Africa, because that's where all the cocoa is. Okay. And chocolate, right? Hershey's, all that stuff. So it comes from there. It's obviously a big deal. It's a massive crop for them, right? So they would be able to harvest once.
So they're growing cocoa. Is that what they're doing?
Correct. Yep. So now we've gone in and created all this infrastructure for them. So now they're able to harvest 3 times a year, which to us it's like, oh, you guys aren't doing anything that great. That's massive for them, right? So we're sitting in with the chief and we're talking through his person, and he's telling us, hey, because I see new faces, I know there's more progress. and he granted us right then 10,000 more acres for us to, take over as our concession to start, putting infrastructure into. So that was really cool, man. And then we came out and all the little village kids were, climbing all over us and super stoked to take pictures. And, I don't know if you saw, I posted a bunch of them on my Instagram page. And it was just amazing, man. This one little girl came. We were there a few minutes, and she kind of snuck around the building. And then I think, she was probably 6, somewhere around there, 5 or 6, or maybe 4, between 4 and 6. And she was just beautiful. Just beautiful, like natural eyeliner around her eyes. She had big green eyes, just beautiful skin and cute features. And she was just smiling and laughing. And, and I got a good couple pictures of her she's in like this yellow dress, man. It was just this beautiful little soul that has nothing. No shoes, they didn't have running water, and she's happy and smiling and came up and, we were giving them candy and all the kids were jumping around and stuff. And it was just a very touching moment, man, to be involved in something like that. Because again, being over here, we hear, it's a crypto project, right? And what's everybody's first question when you talk to them about this? How much can I make?
Right.
How much did you make, right? Which is fine. We're all capitalists. I'm a fan, right? But to see that side of things, the impact that we're making, and you kind of lose track of like, what does it all mean, right? Like, oh man, I made, like I said, a couple $1 million on this project, right? And it's changed my life and it's been great. But you don't really realize what the true impact of all this stuff is until you stand face to face with those people. So it was really a incredible trip.
That's so great, man.
Yeah, it was an awesome moment.
That's something that we forget, man. Like, we live in the first world.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
We saw a smidge of the hint of this during COVID, but like the idea of like sometimes those grocery shelves aren't full. Some of these people, when I first got to Brazil, which is nothing as far as the poverty of Ghana, no running water, no electricity, dirt floors, tin roofs. Like this is a reality for a lot of people. So the idea that, an American-based business project could come in and provide some infrastructure, I'm sure it's providing jobs. I'm sure it's providing all sorts of like benefit to help these people really have a different life. And it's not like we're even trying to like, make them Americans in any way. It's just like, just give them some money for their, what they have there and make it. So if I understand right, so you guys are just making it so that D.E.B.T and the project associated with this grow deal, it's just there in Ghana. It's just making it easier to harvest.
Yeah, so a handful of things, right? We have gold projects over there. We have the natural gas over there. We have the bauxite, which is what you make aluminum out of. Yeah. So we have a handful of different sites over there, right? But the government benefits off every one of these because D.E.B.T doesn't own these, okay? These concessions are granted to us, whether that be mining for gold or growing the agriculture and help, building infrastructure so they can sell more crop, whatever the case is, right? We just get royalties off those, right? So we don't own this stuff, you know what I mean? They're the ones that are benefiting. We just get a small portion, right? So for like, look, if you're making XYZ on crops and we can create you to this, give us this, right? That's really what we're doing. That's what D.E.B.T is.
For every $10 we can make, you give us $1.
Exactly. Yep. Same kind of thing, right? And it was cool, man. We actually met with some of the attorneys from the oil and petroleum government side that negotiate the leases and negotiate the contracts and stuff, and that was really cool. And just you start seeing how much of an impact this is making in literally a crazy third world country. I mean, we're driving through some of these villages, man, and it was just nuts, dude. Everything's dirt, mud built homes, and it, we
don't see that over here.
Nah, man, it's a different way of living.
I love that as a reminder because it is true. It's like a lot of investments, period, no matter what you're investing in. It's like it's all calculated off of your return and your risk and, what's in it for you and how long does this need to, what's my, ROI for this based off of these different risk factors. And we don't calculate that if we're actually, building something that's going to make somebody's world better, that's just as important.
There's value in that.
As a value, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's been a killer project, man. I mean, it's like I said, it's done really well for me. It's opened other doors. And then to go see the humanitarian side was a real gift.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, even in the United States, I know you guys have done some stuff in like Oklahoma and things with oil.
Yeah, Nebraska, Nevada.
Yeah.
I'm expanding down. We just got a notification the other day that we bought 15 or 17 more oil wells. I'm not 100% sure where those are. You may be right. It may be Oklahoma. But yeah, there's a handful and a lot of new projects coming on and some really cool stuff, man. They're just doing moving mountains.
So in those projects, it's a similar, I mean, it's clearly not as impactful as far as like a change of lifestyle as it would be in Ghana, but these are, families that own land that they can't even access their own oil underneath it. And these scans show that there's some sort of, non-renewable resource that's close by.
100%. Funny story. So the land that me and Ben actually went out to, where we stood at ground zero at the oil well in Nebraska, that family has had, I think 7 other exploration companies come out and drill and not get anything. So in fact, when they reached out after doing the scans and they were like, hey, you have like one of the largest deposits of oil anywhere in the U.S., they were like, no, we don't have any oil here. Everybody's been here. Everybody's drilled here. And they're like, yeah, but they didn't do what we could do, right? And the real issue is most rigs get down to about 7,000 feet. This oil was at 9,800, 9,600. They didn't have the rigs for it. So once we did the scans and saw how deep it was, they bought D.E.B.T, went out and purchased 2 rigs, $7.5 million each, right? Twin sisters. They could drill down to 20,000 feet, and sure enough, hit 3 payloads on this guy's land. I mean, imagine that guy's life now.
Dude, no kidding, man. Yeah. That's some Beverly Hillbilly stuff, man.
Yeah, I was told, dude, every time that's the story I tell. Like, remember Beverly Hillbillies? They were out with the gun, and all of a sudden Jed Clamp's
and
moving.
And a bubbling crew.
Yes. Same thing, man, But I think the estimation on that payload is 500 million barrels.
Oh, my gosh.
Do the math, $87 a barrel, man, and again, we take a royalty, right? We don't, that's not all ours. So, it's going to change that family's life and probably give them wealth all the way down the line, and who knows? So what, from what I understand too, is that family is actually part of the political scene there, right? The mayor, what you know what I mean? Okay. They kind of run down to. So imagine what they can do that now in that small little town with that amount of money and the infrastructure that they could build. I mean, it's changed that entire area.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's something, I got this thing in my eye. That's something I was thinking about. D.E.B.T, it's not a crypto.
No,
you're not buying anything. It has a tokenomics associated with how the returns are given, but it's basically you're buying into projects.
Yeah.
And they figured out how to way to make it so you don't have to be an accredited investor.
Exactly.
And you're buying a token, and you're actually just buying a software that creates the token as a mining thing based on.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit. It's
a wild transition. So I like, when people ask me in general, right, what is it, right? I tell them, I said, look, it bridges the gap between your everyday consumer, right, and large, massive projects that you would never be invited to invest in. Right. I mean, it's just a fact. If we and you were sitting next to each other in Vegas, and you look over and I've got a suit on and my Ferrari key and everything else, and you're like, dude, what do? You have shit together, obviously, And I'm like, oh, I'm a hedge fund manager. I manage, natural resources, right? Oil, natural gas. You're like, cool. I've got a little nest egg. Like, give me some tips. And be like, well, how much do you have? And you're like, I got 30 grand. And be like, I can't help you. Right. I mean, I'll buy you a drink, right? And I'll tell you go buy some Apple stock. But it's true. The average person is so removed from large finance, right? This is on purpose, guys.
Yeah.
Your government does not want you to be rich. They don't want you to have a voice. They don't want you to have generational wealth, right? Because they want you to stay right below at that little level, And once you start understanding finance and you start understanding money and you start seeing behind the curtain a little bit, right? If your government keeps you under a certain tax bracket, you are essentially a slave and you'll always be there, right? And this is funny, right? What all else came out around COVID? Oh, the president didn't pay any tax, and it's unfair that the 1% doesn't pay any tax. I got news for you guys. They're never gonna. You can keep changing things. Go ahead. They're gonna find a way around it.
Yeah.
Right. That's the access they have. And that's the access the average person will never have. Right. But projects like this is what helps bridge that gap. This is what helps. People don't understand. All right. I buy $10,000 in licenses, right? Average return. This is not financial advice, right? Average return 10%, let's say. Okay, you make $1,000 a month. Say 10 months. You've recouped your money of your software purchase, right? But what else did you do? You spend $10,000 on software. What do you get to do at the end of the year? That's a business expense, bro.
You write it off.
100%.
Really?
100%.
I didn't consider that. That's
If you start a business and you need computers and you need Office 365 and Excel spreadsheets to do your job, can you or can you not write that off at the end of the year?
100%. Yeah,
You're buying software, buddy.
that's awesome.
Right. And
I didn't
guys,
consider that.
that right there is why the rich stay rich. Right. But that's, that's if you talk to the owners of DeBox, that's their goal. Literally. They don't need to, they've been long done before this, right? But for them to give access to the everyday person and give them an opportunity to build something for themselves and give them an opportunity to quote unquote invest in large projects like this. One of the main guys is a good friend of mine now. We've become really, really close. Obviously I work for him, but his main goal with this entire thing was to make 10,000 new millionaires. And he's knocked down a handful so far. It's pretty awesome. Incredible. Yep.
As I was listening to what you're saying, it's so true. Like there's a reason why finance really isn't taught in schools for kids, and that there's the only way to really change the system is to become a part of it,
or you're just feeding the machine,
and that means you have to be rich.
Yep.
Like the power players in this world, in our country, are the money.
Yeah.
That's why a guy like Elon Musk can completely upend an entire system of messaging and narrative by buying a company for $44 billion.
Because
he had it.
Because he wanted to prove a point.
He did, and he had, not only did he have that money, he had the financing capacity to get other people to come in with him to borrow that money.
Well, they had the legal know-how as well to know that by overpricing the shares, it was illegal for the stockholders to say no, because it's you know what I mean?
They go to jail if they do.
Because they go to jail, right? Because it's not in best interest of the shareholders.
Well, where I was going with that is that, there's this thing that if you are inside of a group, Republicans, Democrats, Mormons, dudes, females, whatever, you're inside of a group, is the only place where they will accept criticism about the group. So, like, if you're a Republican and you go to other Republicans, you're like, "Looking assholes, what are we doing here?"
Yeah,
it could be the exact same thing that a Democrat could be saying about you, but you would never listen because that guy's out of the group and he doesn't know the ins and outs, right?
Right.
That scenario and that format is how wealth works when it comes to change, where nobody can ever change anything from outside of the group when it comes to politics or policy or anything. You have to become a part of the group. So that means you got to get rich.
Right.
You've got to get rich. If you don't like what your senator or your congressperson is doing, get rich so that you can tell him what to do, because now you have his ear because he needs your money.
Right, exactly.
Money creates influence. There's a reason why it's called currency, is because it's an exchange. It goes in and it goes out, and we overlook that. It's baffling to me how people can't see through the narrative of the demonization of wealth. They act like it's bad to be rich and that there's only people that take advantage of other people get rich. And there's this whole sort of spin. And it's all by broke motherfuckers that are saying this shit. Yep. There's a term that's called a useful idiot. There's a ton of useful idiots that are parroting the advice of the narrative that doesn't serve them in mass.
And they don't even realize that it's they're turning around and a little dude is right behind them taking money right out of their pocket. And I'll tell you, when you have $100 and somebody takes $10, it hurts. When you have $100 million and somebody takes $10, not even going to notice.
Not even going to. Well, you got $100 million and they take $1 million. It's going to sting, but it's not going to break anything. It's like, so I've been pushing on that a lot, just energetically for my own family, and teaching my daughters and just having me like, look, like there's anytime you hear noise about wealth, just chuck it. Like it's a good thing to have resources.
Yeah,
and it requires you as an individual to grow into a person that can handle it.
Yeah,
like. I did this post the other day where I was standing in front of my car because I was kind of pissed off about how people demonize the pursuit of success, and they talk shit on you.
Yeah.
And there's like, oh, I shouldn't post pictures of my car because it means certain things or whatever. And it's all by people that are broke, of course. And I had people like reach out to me in DM that would be like, thank you for saying this. It needs to be said. But they wouldn't go on the hook publicly and be in the comments saying that stuff.
Yeah, you got to nut up, man.
So the people in the comments were like, yeah, whatever. And then I had other people that like would talk shit in the DMs and I just didn't even, acknowledge them. Yeah. And I was like, imagine that. Imagine being so triggered by somebody that has something nice, not realizing the work it took to get that thing, not realizing that like in order for me, and this might sound self-serving to say, but I know that it's something you'll understand. when you start achieving more, it requires a different person to handle it.
Yeah.
It's super easy to be stupid when you have a ton of money.
Yep.
You can go blow it on the dumbest shit and you're broke the next day.
Well,
if you
look
want
at
to.
most lotto winners.
Right. Well, that's the whole point.
That's a perfect example, you know?
The mindset of that and the understanding of the strategy and the care and how you have to look at it. Like, you have a relationship with money.
Yep.
It's like, imagine if money was your girlfriend and you treated your girlfriend the way you treat money. Oh, there's never enough of you around. Oh man, it's so hard to find you. It's so hard. Gosh, it's so people that have, when you go with other people, like the
hotter she looks, the more upset you are that she's going out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then money would never stick
Same
around.
mindset.
It would be like, I'm out of here, dude. Be gone. So people don't realize that. And I've felt that that's one of the biggest things that's ever. It's like that we have to address. We have to address, why is it that we're scared of money?
Well, that question is the very first question that you have to answer when you become a client of Core One Crypto. What is your current relationship with money?
Excellent, man.
Because if you don't know, I can't tell you, right? Do you want to build wealth? Do you want to be rich? Do you want to be financially independent, right? Do you want to be free from having a job? Like, you need to understand what you want money to do for you first and foremost, right? I mean, like I said, with me, with the debt box, I wanted money to replace my income so I could go make more of it doing something I want to get up and do, not something I have to get up and do. And look, don't get me wrong. I'm sure millions of people out there love their jobs. You know what I mean? And that's great. You know what I mean? I wish I was in a position where I did. You know what I mean? Maybe I'd got out of the Air Force and been an aerospace engineer, going to work would have been a lot more fun, So there's not knocking the blue collar by any means, right? If you love what you do, that's fine. But you still need to have an understanding of what your relationship with money is going to be. Am I going to retire comfortably, or am I going to retire on $1,400 a month Social Security and I have to be on food stamps and maybe I live in my kid's basement? Right? So that question is literally the first question that you will be asked by our team when you join Core One.
I love that, man. It needs to be asked. You need to know that. Like, there's a requirement on an identity level that you have to see yourself as worthy of all of that if you're ever going to have it. And most people that have really horrible relationships with money and don't have money and treat it badly and can't help but sabotage themselves, the reason why is actually underneath their relationship with money. It's how they view themselves.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They don't think they're worth it.
Yeah.
So they're going to mess it up.
Yeah. Well, when you have $700 shoes, but you don't have a bed frame, your relationship, you probably need to review your relationship with money a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I didn't come from shit, man. I came from a pretty broken house. Luckily I had my grandfather. My grandfather did pretty well for himself. And, when school closed, shopping came around, he bought me a handful of things every year. I was that kid that sat by himself at lunch. I can count numerous times. When I started a new school, we moved, and I think the first 3 weeks, and, get a little real with you guys here. The first 3 weeks I sat by myself outside the gym with tears in my eyes, eating lunch by myself, man, because I was wearing Walmart clothes and, wasn't going to get accepted with these kids that lived in Southern Florida and they're driving BMWs, as sophomores and shit. You know what I mean? It was it was really tough, and I was small, so I got picked on too. What was I going to do? Like I said, I was 4'9", 95 pounds. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't doing shit to anybody, right? I just had to take it. And I got bullied and stuff a lot, and almost every chick I dated in high school cheated on me, dude. And it was, but and this isn't, I'm not telling you guys this shit to sympathy. I live a damn good life now. But I guess the point I'm making is, I got out and I didn't have shit. I tried to do college but I didn't have the fundamentals to do college. I didn't know how to study. You know what I mean? I didn't know what it meant. Like, when you get your course syllabus. I remember I signed up for whatever the study of rocks and dirt is. I can't remember, man.
Geology?
But, it's something like that. Yeah, that might be it. Geology. And I remember like the fourth day in class, I was so embarrassed because the syllabus broke down all the shit we were supposed to do already, and I didn't have any of it done, that I just never went back to that class.
Wow.
I flunked out of it, withdrew, I never showed up. I just didn't go back. I was so embarrassed that I couldn't do the minimum things because no one had taught me to, When I first went in the Air Force, you know, when you're kind of young, you get credit granted to you. You know, you have a stable job and they know they can call your first sergeant, man. And, you know, I was irresponsible with money, you know, because I was trying to make up for all the shit that I didn't have. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'd max out credit cards and then, you know, I didn't know how to pay them. You know, now, I mean, you guys, you know, we're spoiled, right? I mean, you log on and go, pay. Right. You know, I mean, before you actually had to manage a damn checkbook, you know, and shit wouldn't come out for 2 weeks, right? You get real surprised when you forgot you spent that $100 when you only have $100 in your account, you know. And I did. I made I made a lot of mistakes. You know, I mean, I remember this one time, man. I was with a group of my buddies, and you know, we were out at one of the beach bars in Florida, and we had just got paid a couple days before or whatever, and somehow or another I forgot something, and of course I was trying to be a badass that night, and like, hey, get whatever you guys want. My fucking card got. It was the first time that I was out somewhere, you know, an embarrassing moment where they came up and was like, hey, you know, sir, your card declined, and I had to go to my buddy next to me and go, hey, man, can you pick this up and I'll square back up with you. Man, that was brutal, you know, and so, you know, over a handful of years, right, obviously you start, you know, realizing that you need to make changes and things, and for a long time, man, I hung on to my past as like a crutch. Well, I didn't come from shit, so, you know what I mean? I had a shitty fucking attitude and kind of, you know, I mean, it helped me understand a little bit of that perspective, like people that hate me now because I have shit, you know what I mean? Because I same just bad attitude. Why do those people get shit and I don't, you know? And, you know, I never did anything to anybody and had this rotten attitude. And then I ended up meeting this mentor, man, and he was Major Kenneth Moore. Just was such a good dude, you know. My life changed from knowing that guy, and you know, I don't know what interest he took in me. I couldn't tell you why, but I mean, he'd just bring me into his office all the time, and we'd sit down and talk. And right before I got out, about 6 to 8 months before I got out of the Air Force, we had to fill out this mentoring sheet. He was gone. We had got a new commander, and I filled this thing out, and it was like, where do you see yourself in 6 months, right? What are your professional goals? What's your long-term goal? What's your life goal, right? And all this stuff. And by this time, I was a different person. Right, I was like, I know exactly what I want. You know, I was like, I'm going to be wealthy. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do it, but I'm going to kill myself to do it. Right, and I got into lending, got my mortgage license. A buddy of mine, you know, take me under his wing, and those dudes were making. I mean, this was 2005, so those dudes were making $250,000 a year. Right, I mean, this is a refi boom. You know, so I'm watching my friends make money, and I'm like, I'm just as smart as these motherfuckers. I'm going to go do this. Right, and anyway, so I filled that thing out very honestly, not rudely. Right, and I wasn't, you know, being a smart ass. It was just I was being honest, right? A couple days later, my shop chief comes over and he's like, hey, the commander wants to see you. All right. He's like, do you want me to go with you? I was like, no. I didn't think I was in trouble, right? I figured you just wanted something. So you had to report back then when you go in to see your commander. You knock on the door, you come in, you stand at attention, salute him, give him some shit, right? So I come cruising in the room because I didn't think I'm in trouble. Immediately get reminded to report, right? And I got my ass screamed at for a solid 45 minutes.
Why?
Because I was getting out of the Air Force and I was going to flip burgers and I was going to be a piece of shit because I wasn't worth anything else.
That's what this commander was telling you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like, you're making a mistake. You're not going to be shit. You know, you're in the Air Force now because, you know, we're giving you a career and, you know, this is the best place for you and this. And he kind of flung the sheet at me, and he's like, these answers on there, you're going to be rich. You're not going to be rich. You're never going to be shit. I'm going to tell you guys, I look for that motherfucker's Facebook at least once a month. You're going to get a dick pic and a pic of a McLaren, motherfucker, you know? So from that moment, literally, I walked out of that meeting, and that was my defining moment in my life where I said, fuck you. Wow. Fuck my past, right? Fuck the kids that made fun of me in school. Fuck that I had to wear shitty clothes. Fuck that my girlfriends cheated on. I let all that shit go, you know? And I said, you know what? None of that shit defines me. I'm a new person, and I'm going to show all you motherfuckers. And I did, man. I had a big chip on my shoulder for a long time, you know? And I kind of carried that shit with me for years, you know? One perfect example, I was bartending a couple years later, you know, while I was going to college. And I had some regulars, and they did sales at the radio. Right. And it just looked like they had the coolest job, man. They were always going to events and having a good time, and they were making good money. And, you know, and this, because obviously mortgage went to shit, 2008, right? Yep. So my plan went to shit. Okay. So, went back to college, was bartending, like I said, met them. And they were like, hey, you should come do this. They're like, dude, you have an awesome personality, right? I mean, I had so many locals at my bar every week, man, that would just come to see me. I was like you. I was like a comedian back there and having a good time. You know, I was killing it. So anyway, they were like, you need to come in and interview. I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'd love to do that, you know? So went out, bought a shirt, bought a tie, you know, and I'm driving to the interview. And in my head, I'm like, I'm going to crush this, dude. I'm going to kill this, you know? Go into the interview, and it's this older lady. I mean, she was probably late 50s, you know, early 60s. And I sit down, man, I sit back like this, right, in a chair, and she's sitting at her desk, and she goes, what radio station you listen to? Now, I'm a punk rock kid, man. I didn't listen to the radio. I hated the radio back then, right? I was in a band at the time, too, you know? I'm like, I don't really listen to the radio. She lit me up. She's like, why are you in here? You have no sales experience, right? You don't even know what station you're applying for. She kind of same thing, flung my resume back to me. She's like, you've done nothing in your life, right? She goes, anyway, really let me have it. So as I walk up to get and open the door, or, you know, to leave her office, I turn around and I said, hey, I appreciate you. You know, thanks for seeing me today. And she said something, and I turned around and I said, no, this is going to be your mistake, you know? And then a couple years later, got back in, you know, mortgage had turned around or whatever. And I was President's Club everywhere I worked, #1 everywhere I worked, sales manager, you know, and I always had that drive, man, to prove everybody wrong, you know? And
when do you think you'll let that go and know you already did?
I have.
You have?
That was recent. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. I woke up, you know, it was a crazy moment, man. I woke up the morning that I had become a millionaire, you know, and I was walking around the house with Quincy, and you know, she gave me a big hug, and she's like, you made it, you know, and I still don't feel like I've made it because there's still so much I want to accomplish, you know, but I think that was really, really kind of the moment. And that was about 2 months after I'd cut everything off with my parents, blocked them, and just moved on and accepted the fact that I wasn't going to talk to them anymore. And yeah, that was really it, man, is I finally got to look myself in the mirror and put all that shit down and let it go. And now I just choose to be happy. I want to help other people do the same thing, right? And whatever you're in, you know, it doesn't matter what your past is, right? You know, and for that moment, I realized the joy that Jason's getting. Oops.
Yeah.
Anyway, out of what he's doing for all of us. You know what I mean? And now I just, you know, that's my new mission. Do the same thing for other people. I want to help other people create wealth. I want to help other people, you know, help start realizing their dreams. And yeah, I still have a good handful of things to accomplish, man. But it's going to be on my terms.
That's dope, dude. Congratulations on all that, man.
Thank you.
That's really cool. Before we wrap up, there's a segment. We like to talk some shit on this podcast, and so my producer's got some current events that he's going to throw at us, and we'll be.
We're going to do a little
flippity flop.
All right,
here.
Little Andy and DJ cruise the internet.
Here we go. Hey,
A little something like that, yeah.
what you got, Con?
Okay, so the first one is so Governor Newsom, California.
My favorite governor.
Yeah, somebody,
all of the states.
somebody should show that dude a long walk of a short period.
I think he has an extra chromosome. Anyway.
So Newsom's reparations committee will recommend $223,000 per descendant of slave for housing discrimination. So basically, Governor Newsom said that those who are descendants of slaves should receive $223,000.
Just a one-time payment?
One-time payment.
So who's
Each
paying?
person?
Who's
Each
paying?
person.
State of California?
So the state of California will come out to, so it says in California
Oh
there's
my gosh,
approximately 2.5 billion black people, and that will equate to
Hold on, how many?
2.5 million.
Oh, million. I say it's a billion. I'm like, the state's not that big.
So it'll equate to $559 billion.
Hey, as long as it comes out of his or Nancy's pocket, do whatever you want.
Here's the questions I have with that when they get into this conversation about reparations. It's like, well, how do you handle, like, the percentage? So what if you're just, like, 12% from a former slave?
Right.
Or what if
What if you were the slave master and you weren't like the
Right.
slave, like getting your ass whooped with a whip every day? You think I would be upset.
Did you ever see that show they had on NBC where like they would take certain celebrities and then they would break down their genealogy?
No.
I want to say it was Whoopi Goldberg, It might have been another prominent African American woman, but basically, like, her family was all the slave owners.
Yeah.
Like these black families owning all these slaves and everything. So when I get into the conversation of reparations, I'm like, okay, let's just overlook the idea that none of the people that are going to be paying for that in their tax dollars had anything to do with that 200 years ago. Okay, so that's
for one.
Duh.
Right.
Secondly, like, how are you going to handle that? Like, because if you have a bunch of people that weren't a part of that in your bloodline, who gets what? Because is it just automatic? You get all of it? Is it, I only get 12% of the 230,000, or is it?
Well, I think we have to look at the bigger picture, right? What's the motivation?
Buy a vote.
Exactly. Well, right, and that's the problem, right? If you go, okay, you see these motherfuckers, and this shit drives me fucking nuts. Don't put your big tip on Instagram like you deserve some fucking hug, right? Do the shit because you do the shit because you're a good fucking person. Yeah. You know what I mean? I always overtip. You don't ever see me fucking post shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know why the valets, when I pull up downtown to where I go, run over to my fucking car? Because I tip well. Because I take care of people. Because I give a fuck that you're standing out there in the freezing ass cold watching my car, right? What happened to being a good person just for the sake of being a good fucking person, right? If you're going to do shit like that, fantastic, man. Do it.
Well, I think
right?
that it poses...
But do it for the right fucking reason.
Well, hold on. I think that's not even in the conversation, though. Like, the idea of reparations, like, what?
Yeah, it's insane to begin with.
It's insane. And to me, it's more of like, if an individual feels that they're entitled to that, where did they get that sense of entitlement? They weren't on the plantation. They weren't the ones doing this stuff. They didn't... Now, there's
are we asking the people that are... in receipt of these, what their thoughts and opinions on?
They just want the free money, bro. Like, that's all it is.
I'm sure some of them have something to say about it. I'm sure some people have something to say about it.
I'm sure some are like, I don't need this.
You know what I mean? Like, like, there's, look, equal opportunity fully is equal opportunity these days, right? I mean, the last company that I worked for, that I was the sales manager for 5 years, was black owned. Right, and they have their Ginnie Mae issuance, which is, I think they're one of 3 like in the world that have their that are minority owned and have their Ginnie Mae issuance, and they built it all up from the ground. And on top of that, it's a woman here in Utah. It's a black woman here in Utah that built a business this large to have their own Ginnie Mae issuance. Fucking grats.
Yeah,
that's unreal. But that goes to the point of, don't tell me that you're held down. Don't tell me the system's fucking against you, right? Don't give me these fucking excuses. Man, I have friends that have gone to fucking prison, got out and made big shit of themselves, right? I mean, you want to talk about carrying around a bag of bricks when you got to walk into an employer and go, yeah, I'm a fucking convict. You know what I mean? I didn't get a job once. Okay, so a girl, I have been to jail, okay? A girlfriend of mine had this boyfriend who was obsessive and crazy. I went over to pick her up to help her move her shit out one day. He locked her in the house, started beating the shit out of her, okay? I broke in the back door and beat the fuck out of him. Broke half the bones of his face, broke his eye sockets, broke his nose. As it turns out, we were in the bathroom, picked him up, threw him in the tub. You can imagine the advantage you would have, right? It was fucking over, okay? But I went to jail for that, right? So when I first, one of the jobs where I had a good friend that was really high up in Verizon back when you could make a shitload of money doing B2B sales at Verizon, right? Years ago. They don't make shit now, but they did. And I got all the way through all the interviews. Everybody loved me, ran the background check, couldn't get the job, right? I'm still here. Yeah. I've done amazing shit with my life,
What you're saying is, it reminds me that, because I've had conversations come up of like, well, there is a reality of oppression, and it's like, I'm not going to give merit to that, whether it's true or not. How you feel is one thing, the reality is another thing.
Right.
But the way that I've chosen to look at it, it's like life is a game of Hold'em, I might have been dealt 2 shit cards, but if I play those cards right, I can still win the pot.
Oh, 100%. Yep.
So I don't want to hear any of your excuses. Like, and this isn't about like, black people or Hispanic or minorities. It's
in general.
Across. Dude, I know some white dudes that are the biggest bitches ever whining about everything, dude.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So it's like, no, like, just play your hand.
Right.
I don't care what your hand is. Figure out how to make that hand a winning hand.
Well, you play your hand to your best of your ability.
There it is.
Right. Like, if you get in there and you're boxing, right, and you're boxing all 12 rounds and you've taken some fucking lumps, dude, but you went the whole fucking thing, even though you're huffing and mouth breathing and you got your kidney kicked in or whatever the case is, right? I'll come hold your hand high. You get hit in the mouth first round after running your mouth, fuck you.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's true though. You know,
true.
get in there and fight. Right? I had to.
Everybody
I had to
to.
fight
That's
for
the
every
crazy
fucking thing
dude.
I have, man. You know, I still have to fight. I have to fight to keep shit right now. It's always a game.
Well, dude,
you know?
that's the whole point. It's like it's always going to be something that you have to give attention to.
Yeah.
There's no easy route to having what you want.
Well, right back to the lotto winners. What are these people going to do with 230 grand? Are they going to invest it?
Nope. It'll be gone.
Are they going to? Yeah, exactly. It's going to be gone. So, you know, maybe if you're hell bent to do something, look, man, if I made $500 million, I could go drive up downtown to the VA hospital and hand them a check for $100 million. What do you think? Where's that going to go?
Excess.
Increase salaries.
Yeah.
Probably, right? Right away. Hiring more staff. Why? So the overworked staff can work less. I get that, right? But that's where it's going to go. Okay. It's not like you're going to see, it's not like every veteran over there in the hospital that day is going to, you get a new car, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's not going to them. You know what I mean? So this money isn't going to go to bettering their life. They're going to piss it away with Gucci shit or, you know, whatever the case is, because once again, what is your relationship with money? They don't have a relationship with money, right? So if you want to do stuff like that, fine. You know what I mean? But let's better our civilization and better our nation. You know, don't just hand them a check, right? Let's you know, if you want to do something, that's fine.
I think that there's a moral issue with that. Like, don't be giving away money that's not yours.
Well, that too, it's ours.
Yeah, like so that's
yeah.
That's a hot button one.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got?
This is a little bit different. I'll go a different direction for this this one. So recently, scientists revive a zombie virus stuck under Siberian permafrost.
Oh, I saw this shit
for 50,000 years. Said the microbes, if released into the world, would pose a significant danger. So what's the whole?
Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
I got a big truck and a whole bunch of guns. I'll sit on a roof and pick up zombies all day long.
One of my favorite movies is Zombieland, dude. Let's freaking do it. So this is real? Like there's a zombie biome that could... Well, how do they know if it gets released into the air? Like this is where it's like, is this one of those clickbaity, like we're going to scare the fuck out of people so that they just stay in their little, you know, we keep them controlled and because zombies are real now. Hey guys, zombies are real. Zombies are real.
2.0.
Zombies are real, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be another pandemic.
I've seen meth heads. We already know zombies are real, man.
Well, I mean, I'll be shocked if we don't have another pandemic, right?
Well, they keep telling us there's another one coming.
Yeah, the powers that be learn that, you know, 80% of people are just going to be sheep and lay down and do whatever you fucking tell them to do.
There's such a control factor in that, dude. I was talking to, I think it was actually the con before we started recording that, like, dude, in China, it's still full lockdown. Like,
dude, they're going crazy over there,
dude,
man.
And they are even, I read this, it's hilarious. They're censoring video from the World Cup showing maskless faces.
Yeah.
Like the Chinese government's like, oh, you can't see there's got to be masks.
Right.
What?
Total control.
And that's why there's all those riots and stuff in China right now. Those dudes are
they're fighting for their life. Finally, you know.
What a gnarly place, man.
Yeah. As far as the zombie virus, a
friend of ours, you know William Lamb.
Yeah.
He's getting ready to go over to China, and I'm like, now?
Is he really?
Like what? No.
Hell no.
Yeah. He's Chinese, and so maybe there's something different as far as that's concerned that'll make it easier for him. But I wouldn't
blend in a little bit. We would not. You won't. You're like a foot taller than everybody over there.
I'd be Kobe Bryant over there, seeing everybody's top of their heads.
Yeah, like, you play NBA?
Yeah, yeah. I'm the white guy.
Yeah, the one white guy.
You're bald and you're tall. You NBA? Well, with the beard, I played until 1994, and then I retired. What else you got, buddy?
Okay, last one. I don't know if you heard about the Pentagon audit that they did.
Yeah, they shit the bed again.
So the fifth straight time that
they lose $800 trillion or something.
So they can't account for 61% of their assets, which is total assets of $3.5 trillion.
Well, I can tell you exactly why that shit goes down. I was in the military with both of these bunch of these motherfuckers. Yeah, half these dudes are from Arkansas. No offense to Arkansas, and can't add 2 + 2. Let alone keep track of fucking hundreds of millions of dollars of fucking equipment.
Well, I think a part of that is they don't want us to know where it went.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit. Dude, our government, the U.S. government, is the biggest purveyor of war on this planet.
Oh, dude. yeah, the amount of corruption it's overwhelming now. It's never going to change. It's too big.
The war. What is it? The war industrial complex, like that makes money off of war. These are fanatically rich people, like just ridiculously powerfully influential. Like they're all through our government. There's tons of senators that are these types that are just like, oh, we got to go to war. We got to go to war.
Yeah, we need the money.
That's spooky. Yeah, that whole I saw a deal about that because the Pentagon fifth audit can't account for 61% of their money.
Yeah, but dude, they want you to report a $600 Venmo transaction.
That's the whole point thing is like that was the juxtaposition. It's like,
fuck?
So these are what our government officials are doing with let's be honest, it's sacred money. That money it's taken from workers all over the country. It's taken from gains. It's every taxpayer has to give in to that.
Yeah.
Right? And then they take that pool and they borrowed against it for our future. Our kids as kids are still going to be paying that shit back if we don't collapse by then. Yep. So it's sacred money. And they're like, I forgot. I don't know.
We don't know where it went.
Yeah, the Pentagon corporate platinum card, no limit on it.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that's so disappointing.
Yeah, there needs to be better accountability.
Yeah, all those IRS agents coming after your Venmo. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Pretty soon a haircut's gonna be $600. I don't know. Like, you need to come after me for a fucking haircut. Like,
they are already $600, dude.
It's crazy.
Check your wife's statement, bro. Like,
I think that's $900, dude.
Yeah, no kidding, dude. My wife is getting extensions today, and she was telling me like what it was gonna be, and I'm like,
I better go do a podcast and make some money. Yeah, they look good.
Oh, they do. They do. It's a beautiful thing. So, well, Billy, I appreciate your time, man. You're a busy dude. I've always enjoyed our conversations and the time we've been able to hang out and stuff. And I appreciate you for your patience with me as I got into D.E.B.T and what that was like, because it's been kind of a cool experience so far. And I'm softening my edges. I was a little bit grumpy about the app doesn't work or my wallet doesn't. And I'm like, dude, stop being 70-year-old right now. Like,
dude, true story. So one of the first guys when IX opened up, was a referral from another one of my buddies. It's older. This is their retirement plan. Wires money over, right? And it takes like a week for your licenses to kick in. And when you send a bank wire, there's a lot of verification that's got to go in, right? So I think about the third day, sends me and Ben this really grumpy text, right? And he's like, we're not in 2008. You guys need to make this shit work. And we literally looked and we were like, motherfucker, you just sent a bank wire to buy crypto. Like, who's in 2008, man? Like, we're not. You are. You know. So it's kind of funny, but it's coming around.
I wish
Stuff's
you all the
getting easier,
success, man.
smoother,
It's going to be cool to kind of see where this goes, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. And anybody else, if you see this and you're interested, reach out to me, reach out to Billy. There's some opportunity there. I mean, we're clearly not selling that. That's not the purpose of the podcast. But I wanted to just kind of pick your brain because Core One Crypto and what you're doing with D.E.B.T or Deathbox. Oh my God, D.E.B.T. What I want to end on this sort of point. Those things are irrelevant. Your mindset and the way that you approached life and investment and money and your relationship there is what's created this opportunity. This just happened to be the one that fell into your lap. If it wasn't this, it was going to be something else.
Yeah, it was just a catalyst.
And so if you're considering, you want a better life and you want, more affluence, like it's in your head. It's 6 inches between your ears is where you start with how that.
Yep.
And I've watched you, there's you being a lender and you were always, well spoken of and you had clients that loved you and everything. And being in the mortgage industry myself at a time in the past, like I hate that industry, man. Like it kills you. Creates alcohol. It creates fat men and alcoholics.
Yeah, that's true.
And sometimes cokeheads, but
yep.
And infidelity, like just the whole thing is it's a really stressful organization. So I'm happy for you that you're out of that because that's doing something that's really impactful in a different way.
Just trying to make a difference, man. And obviously everybody wants to make money too, but if you could do both, all the better, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So where do people find you if they wanted to?
Yeah, my Instagrams. I hardly ever get on my Facebook and stuff, so don't, if you do find me there, don't reach out to me there.
Facebook, what's this? I'm not familiar with this. Is this
what is Face? People still use Facebook?
I don't know. There's a Faces, Books of Faces. What is this?
Yeah, it's Bookface. My Instagram is Billy Beach Life.
Okay.
I don't think I'm private. I think I'm public page, but either way, if you want information, even if you just have questions, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to help you. I mean, 90% of what we do is education and, just helping people be better. So
love it, dude. At Billy Beach Life. Again, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming.
Thank
My
you.
friends, you know the drill. If you enjoyed this podcast and you feel that there was anything redeeming about it, please share it. Go to iTunes, leave us a rating and review. As you're aware, we now have video for this. If you're watching this on Spotify, I love it because I know I'm one of a handful of podcasts that are on video with Spotify. Subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. And thanks for watching Stand Up.